Welcome, everybody. Cannabis News with Joe Klare. It is November 20th, 2018. Presented, as always, by the Marijuana Times. Check us out at marijuanatimes.org. Find the video tab, marijuanatimes.org, and find the show. Also, a bunch of great articles and more, marijuanatimes.org. Today, we're talking about the opioid epidemic and cancer patients. Also, some news about medical marijuana out of Oklahoma and possible marijuana law reform soon coming to the state of Wisconsin after some interesting votes on election night. All that's coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by Natureside, nature-side.com, and the organic, all-natural pesticides. You want to grow safe and poison-free. You don't want to use banned pesticides. You don't want to use harmful chemicals on what you are growing. I'm sure all of these things are true, and for that reason, you need to check out Natureside, nature-side.com. A proud sponsor of Cannabis News. They're awesome. Go check them out. They've been with us, as I've often said, since the beginning. People are going to be ingesting what you're growing. Don't just dump horrific pesticides on there. Organic, natural, Natureside, nature-side.com. Go check them out. This first story is from the Marijuana Times, marijuanatimes.org, by David Haas. The Opioid Epidemic, Why Cancer Patients Are Seeking Natural Pain Relief Alternatives. Now, this is a fairly long article. It's a lengthy article. You can go check it out at marijuanatimes.org. You can also see it in the description of this video, where I link all of the stories that I talk about. Basically, David goes into first talking about the problems with opioids, how many people they've killed, the reaction to it, and goes on to talk about how people are switching and trying to get away from opioids for that reason and go to more natural alternatives, things like cannabis, medical marijuana, whatever you want to call it. It mentions something else interesting in this article. There's really two reasons people are getting away from opioids. One is the danger, but there are a lot of people who need opioids or have been using opioids to alleviate their pain, and they are effective. However, whatever the side effects are, however effective they are effective, and a lot of people couldn't get through the day without these pills. Their body's used to them, for whatever reason. There's millions of people who need medication to get through the day and to be able to function. So, something else is happening besides of obviously people dying from overdoses, is that the response to the overdoses is that the government is restricting the supply of these medications, and this is causing doctors in emergency rooms to really be more reluctant when it comes to prescribing these medications, which you may see as a good thing, and it is, because less people are going to die. But, as I mentioned, a lot of people need pain medications to get through the day, and the restriction of the supply is affecting them. It affects, I don't know what it's like all over the country, but I know in a lot of places, if you go to the emergency room and you're in pain and you say anything about wanting any kind of pain medication, you get treated differently than if you had not asked for pain medication. And for every one person, who does need some pain medication, I'm sure they see hundreds of people who just want to get high on pills. And I understand that, and I understand they're in a no-win situation. The long story short, the point of this article is talking about how people like cancer patients and others who are in pain for whatever reason are going to safer alternatives like cannabis. And this is all the more reason we need better access for people to get medical marijuana, because if making that transition is going to help them, they have to be able to make that transition. If you're going to get away from opioids, that's great. But what are you going to replace it with if you need to replace it with something? If the answer is medical marijuana, well, obviously you need to live in a place where medical marijuana is available, access is available. Either you're able to grow it and you're able to do that, and you have the skills and the finances to do that, or you can go to a dispensary, you have the finances to do that. Expanded medical marijuana access, expanded marijuana access, period, is going to alleviate these problems, get more and more people away from opioids, which is the end goal of all of this. When it comes to pain management, I would think for most people, most doctors, most patients, they want to get away from the pills and get something more natural and something that works. And for the people who cannabis works for, they need to be able to make that transition, which means laws need to change, which is why I am here 5 days a week on Cannabis News. This next story is from McAllisterNews.com. MC Allister News. It's probably McAllister. I don't know why MC Allister. We need a news site about Oklahoma news. But you know what? I like that better. MCAllisterNews.com. Talking about Oklahoma. This is actually a really interesting story. I know someone in the YouTube comments a couple weeks ago mentioned the progress that Oklahoma is making. I haven't talked about Oklahoma in a little while. When medical marijuana passed out there, we talked about it a lot. Because as you remember, there was a lot going on in the wake of medical marijuana passing in June in Oklahoma. But now, in Oklahoma, Medical Marijuana Authority has collected $6.5 million in application fees. Keep in mind that less than 5 months ago, medical marijuana was legalized in Oklahoma. And at this point, they've raised $6.5 million in fees because the Marijuana Authority has issued business licenses to 651 dispensaries, 1,060 growers, and 277 processors. Each business must pay an annual licensing fee of $2,500. That's where $5.5 million of the $6.5 million has come from. Patient licenses have generated a little over $1 million. But think about states like Massachusetts, for example, that have had massive delays in recreational marijuana. States like Ohio, which have had massive delays, and Florida, which have massive delays when it comes to medical marijuana implementation. In less than 5 months, after when no one would say it was a smooth start, it was not a smooth start for medical marijuana in Oklahoma. There was somebody had to quit, and there was like possible bribery, and there was rules that people didn't like, and then later had to be rescinded. And there was like, well, there was going to be a special legislative session, and then there wasn't going to be, and then there was, well, there has to be one because we got all these problems. Less than 5 months later, they've issued almost 2,000 licenses, and that's not even counting the patient licenses that are going out. 12,300 patients have received licenses. So 12,000 patients, 2,000 businesses in less than 5 months after it was voted on. Massachusetts, they voted on recreational marijuana 2 years ago, and they're finally getting their first couple stores open this week. Oklahoma, big props, big ups, as the kids say, to Oklahoma. Rough start, smooth, got it to the smooth water, and didn't look back. Good for them. Good for medical marijuana patients in Oklahoma. Your state's on it. And for those states who take 2 years to do this kind of thing and issue regulations and get business licenses out there, like California's another one, it's taking forever. There's now issuing full year licenses. They had to give temporary licenses. And there's other states that have done this. There was early sales of medical marijuana dispensaries for recreational marijuana in Oregon and Nevada. So it can be done. And it can be done fairly quickly, apparently. Because Oklahoma did it. And Oklahoma's not exactly, a hotbed for marijuana activity. They were starting from scratch. The medical marijuana was the first they've ever really, any contact they've come in with marijuana law reform. So good for them. Good for the people of Oklahoma. Good on the state. Who are the people in charge of it? The Marijuana Authority. Good for you. You're really making some other states look bad. Looking at you, Florida and Ohio, Massachusetts and California, and many others. It's right there. Just go to the people in Oklahoma and say, what'd you do? Just write it down, print it out, whatever. Tell me what you did. Give it to me. I'm going to go back to my state, and I'm going to do that. Now people are going to say, oh, well, there's going to be lots of problems, and people shouldn't have licenses will have licenses, and then because they didn't do their due diligence or whatever. So what? So what? If someone who's not dying gets some medical marijuana, you'll survive. You'll live. Their pain will be alleviated, however much it is, even if it's just for insomnia or something you don't believe medical marijuana should be used for. So what? They're not hurting you. Who cares? Maybe that 12,000, let's say, at that 12,300, let's say 11,000 wouldn't qualify under what you think should be medical marijuana should be used for. So what? Who cares? It's not hurting you. They're fine. And you're fine. You'll be okay. And there are people out there who believe this. So, well, it should be used for this and this and this, but not for this and this and this. No, that's dumb. And if you think that, you're dumb. I'm sorry. I'm sure the people have told you this. I hope I'm not the one breaking the news. But yeah, if you think marijuana should only be used for certain things for adults, no, that's stupid. You're stupid. Sorry. I don't want to be blunt, but somebody's got to say this. Sometimes you got to sit people down and say, look, what you're thinking is dumb, and here's why it's dumb. And the here's why it's dumb is the basis of this whole show. This last story from WKOW.com in Wisconsin. I'm really seeking a mainstream audience. I'm drawing people in. You stupid people. Please watch the show. Now, you people, I know if you watch the show on a regular basis, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you agree with me, so you're fine. There's a couple of you out there. I see you. This last story out of Wisconsin. Madison Rep. Sergeant to reintroduce marijuana legalization, basically on election night. There's a bunch of referendums in Wisconsin. Referendums on marijuana are on the ballots in 16 counties and 2 cities. A lot of big returns. Milwaukee County, 70% of voters say the state's prohibition on marijuana should end. Dane County, that margin was 76%. And in Rock County, as you see there after watching the video, 69% of voters approved of the legalization of marijuana. These were non-binding referendums, so it really means nothing other than voters expressing their wish that maybe the legislature should do something. And, well, Representative Melissa Sargent, who's a Democrat from Madison, she's tried before to get marijuana legalization to a vote. She told 27 News she would try again next year. She said, quote, "The most dangerous thing about marijuana in our state is that it's illegal, and it's time for us to take a pragmatic, common sense approach, a Wisconsin approach to addressing those concerns." Nice little bit of politics right there, throwing in a pragmatic, common sense, the Wisconsin way. It's good. It's smooth. Just laying it out there. People won't even notice. It'll be like, yeah, Wisconsin, common, pragmatic, common sense. Yes, very good. Anyway, she says she plans to introduce the bill to legalize marijuana in January after the new legislature is sworn in. And, of course, those referendum votes can play big into that, showing people from various districts like, Dane County and Rock County and Milwaukee County that, well, maybe it would benefit them to vote for cannabis legalization. That's going to do it for Cannabis News. Thanks, everybody, for checking out the show, liking, commenting, sharing, all that stuff. I do check out the comments on YouTube, and it lets me know what you guys are thinking. We try to cover as much as we can. I try to mix it up, different states in the country, different jurisdictions, different countries outside of the United States, what's going on in Canada. We try to bring it all to you. What I can't bring you here, go look for marijuanatimes.org. Click the video tab there to find this show. Thank you to NatureSide, nature-side.com, and the organic all-natural pesticides. Thank you for watching and listening and sharing. And we'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.